What's going on, everybody? ChromeOnRust here. So the PTR's been out for a few days now. The patch notes have been out a couple days as well. You know, they came out when the PTR came out, so I know a lot of players have already read through them. So that's not what I'm going to do. I want to talk about what we can pull from the PTR patch notes to help us start farming in 2.0.6. Talking about a few different items, the way that they're going to be changing skills and some various things. Now, just starting right out, the first item that they are going to be changing, or just incorporating into the game, I should say, is going to be the Ramalandi's gift. Now, this item is going to allow you to put a socket on a weapon. You don't have a socket on a weapon, that's just really amazing. It needs a socket. You find this item, you apply the socket to your weapon, and you're going to be all dandy. So what this means for the weapons that we have now, if they naturally have a socket on them, those weapons that we have are no longer endgame weapons. This new item is going to allow us to just throw a socket on a weapon. So that means we're looking for a weapon with 4 primary stats. So let's say we're looking at a Sunkeeper. You know, you're going to want your weapon damage, your primary stat. They always have the elite damage on there. And then the 4th stat, you're either going to want like weapon damage, attack speed, cooldown reduction, something like that. And then we'll just apply a socket with the Ramalandi's gift. So farming up some new weapons, just make sure that while you are looking at the weapons that you're finding now, if it doesn't have a socket and it's really amazing and you want to use it right now, hold off maybe a month, however long the patch is going to take to hit. We really don't know, but I would wait. It's going to be worth it. Save it for when the Ramalandi's gifts come out. Throw a socket on the weapon that way, and you're going to be in a much better situation if you were to just go ahead and re-roll the item right now for a socket. Now, the next item that we're going to start acquiring right away when the patch comes out, that is going to be the Hellfire Amulet. Now, Hellfire Amulets, the interesting thing about them is the way that you kill Ubers now. You go and farm the keys, you go and make the machines, you kill the Ubers, you get the pieces, you go to the Mystic, you craft the rings. That's exactly how the Hellfire Amulet is going to be done. Same exact materials and everything. So that means we can actually start farming up the Uber materials right now. You want to start crafting some Hellfire Amulets, they are going to be giving us a 5th passive. Really good amulets, not like the Hellfire Ring where you don't really need them at all, unfortunately. Hellfire Amulets are going to be really good. The last item that I do want to talk about is going to be, probably needs no introduction, and that is Legendary Gems. Now, what can we start doing for Legendary Gems now? If we take a look at what they're going to be socketed into, it is going to only be in jewelry. So jewelry that we find now, or jewelry that we just have sitting in our stash with the socket on there, you know, it has 2 good primaries, a socket, and whatever other primaries. Something that's just like not really even usable. It may be sitting around in your stash because you just wanted to try something with it, maybe a different build out, but you know it's not that great of a ring or an amulet. If it has 2 good primaries and a socket, and you haven't re-rolled the item, you can now re-roll that 4th primary, whatever it is, into what you're going to be needing, and you're going to be all set, because these new legendary gems are supposed to be really amazing, and everyone's going to want to throw one in the socket of their amulet or the ring. So that's the only place you can use legendary gems, but just keep that in mind. Finding jewelry now can still really be amazing. Now, they're also going to be tweaking some skills. Whenever new skills come out, or not new skills, but whenever they tweak new skills, it means there's going to be developments of new builds. Also, there's going to be new items like the Depth Diggers. Depth Diggers are going to be able to double your primary damaging abilities. So things like Bash, or Weapon Throw, or Cleave are going to be able to double their damage. So this means a Mighty Belt that has Bash damage on it now that no one really would have ever been using. It may be good. You may want to throw that in your stash. See if you end up coming up with a build or using a build with a primary damaging ability, because you never know. That belt that you're about to reroll the bash damage off of, or whatever damage off of, you got some pants and you want to reroll something off of it, it may be really amazing right now, or when the new patch goes live. Throw it in your stash. Maybe let it collect a little bit of dust if you don't really have to use it or anything right now. Figure out what exactly is going to be going on with the changes, what exact builds you're going to be using. Also, rolling elemental damage off of gear. Let's say you find an amulet with like 20 cold damage. You're playing a fire wizard right now. Other elements are going to be getting buffed. So maybe some cold abilities on your wizard are going to be getting buffed. You already have a really amazing amulet with like 20 cold damage. All you really want is the 20 fire damage. Maybe throw that in your stash for a while. Keep using the amulet that you're using Once again, see what kind of builds develop and what you come up with in various things. Finding real endgame items can be hard, so sometimes if it's a real good amulet and you're not using the element, you'll just go ahead and roll it off. In the case now, new builds are going to be coming out. Hang on to it just for a little bit, I would say. Now, crafting of your Reaper's Wraps. Crafting Reaper's Wraps is, well, really amazing. Reaper's Wraps are really good. Except for right now. When the new patch does go live, now, in Magic Materials, Reaper's Wraps cost 120 blue materials. When the patch does go live, it's only going to cost us 72 blue materials. So it's a pretty big cut in how many magic materials it's going to take to craft a Reaper's Wraps. So hold on to your blue materials for a while. Hold off on crafting the Reaper's Wraps. Wait for the new patch and then just hammer them out. That's what I would recommend to do. Last thing that I do want to talk about is going to be, well, greater rifts. How can we prepare for greater rifts? Well, by running bounties. Bounties are still going to give us rift fragments. Rift fragments are still going to open up Nephilim rifts. Nephilim rifts are going to be the way to acquire greater rifts. So if you want to get right into the greater rifts, run some bounties now, get them over with, collect up a whole bunch of the rift fragments because it costs you more to open up a rift right now anyways. It costs 5 for one player. When the patch goes live, it's going to cost 4 if there's 4 players in the room, and then every player is going to have to use 1. So if there's only 2 players, it's only going to cost 2 rift fragments. That's pretty good. These are some things that I would highly recommend you going ahead and maybe not doing all of them, but just keep them in mind. You find that really sick weapon, it doesn't have a socket, throw it in your stash for a while, wait until you find the Ramalandi's gift, and then see exactly what you want to be doing with it. Now, there's also, if you've been paying attention in the background, a new mouse pointer. I thought it was pretty interesting. It's actually a lot easier to see, or it's decently easier to see, let's say that, than the old mouse pointer. The old one would definitely get lost in the oblivion. Now, I play Elite Quake Barb. I really don't have too many problems losing my pointer. It became an issue when other players would join the game. I really haven't played in multiplayer games yet, so I can't give a full description on how the new mouse pointer is, but it's easier to see. I can definitely say that. And the last thing that I do want to ask is, well, what do you play now? Do you play hardcore or do you play softcore? When patch 2.1 goes live, are you going to be participating in seasons? Yes or no? And then what are you going to be participating in? If you play softcore now, are you going to be playing in hardcore when seasons go live? Or is it going to be the exact opposite? I think it's not really going to be. If you're playing in hardcore, you're probably going to stick to hardcore. But I know a lot of players that are going to be playing in softcore are going to be jumping the bandwagon and going over to hardcore. Now, myself, I haven't personally thought about doing it. I thought about going over to hardcore when the first season goes live. I think I've come to the conclusion that that's something that I really don't want to do. I've devoted 90% of my time, we'll say, a couple thousand hours in softcore versus a couple hundred hours in hardcore. All that time that I spent in softcore has not meant a lot, I won't say. You know, it's not like, oh, I'm so dedicated to softcore, but I have spent so much time in it. I think it'd be kind of like a waste to go and play hardcore, at least for the first season. Don't get me wrong, I plan to go play hardcore seasons eventually at some point, but I think for the first one, I've spent so much time in softcore that I'm just not going to throw it away now. I'm just going to keep rolling with the punches, play some softcore, especially for the first season. My computer goes down, my internet goes down, something like that. I am just going to be like sitting here crying pretty much if I were to die an hour somewhere near the top or within the reach of grabbing a couple of the first conquest or something like that. It would just make me cry. So that's what I plan to do, but I would like to hear what you're going to be doing. So that's going to be it for me. I am ChromeOnRust for Core Expert Gaming. Thanks for stopping by the channel. I'm out of here, and you all have a great day.